He was there and he saw West Virginia sweep the Pitt Panthers in the Backyard Brawl. What does he think about this Mountaineers team?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking about the Mountaineers on the basketball side of things right now, as we're interviewing somebody who I am really excited to talk to, a guy that is a play-by-play guy for Fox Sports, none other than the legendary Connor Onion. You were there last night in a rocking environment in front of those fans in the Coliseum. How was that?
Yeah, Paul, good to see you. Thanks for having me on. Still, honestly, buzzing a little bit. Like, last night is 24 hours behind us now. And, I drove last night from Morgantown to Cincinnati for my football game tomorrow. And It did not feel like it was 3 a.m. when I arrived, because I still had the adrenaline going from the people in Morgantown after hearing a happy rendition for the fans of Country Roads.
Yeah, you posted that on your X, which I thought was really cool. So you've probably been in a lot of big-time environments, and Ross Hodge said before the year, KenPom has the Coliseum as the number one toughest place to play in the country. Obviously, there are a lot of factors and why that is. Some of that is opponent. Some of that, there's a lot of reasons why KenPom. But, do you get the sense that that's a place that can be a top 5 environment?
Definitely. I was actually talking to somebody about that on the way out last night, just because, there were a couple of fever pitch moments where the place got real loud. And we were having the conversation of how many points do you think the Coliseum is worth to West Virginia? And I kind of settled on, 5 or 6. And a couple of people that have seen a lot of games there agreed that it's, probably a possession or 2 a game. And it certainly felt like that last night. Obviously, it didn't come down to that for the Mountaineers because they won running away. But, Mackey Arena at Purdue is a place I've called a couple of games.
Such a great atmosphere. Yeah,
and it reminded me a little bit of that, just how the noise seems to bounce off the roof and come back.
Yeah, you mentioned that during the game. I thought that was interesting. It does have that. I've been to a couple, there. I'm several hours away from Morgantown now, but I do get to at least one basketball game a year right now. And, I feel the same way about it. It's different. They just don't build buildings that way anymore. That's just not how it's done. Right. If you go look at, even in Kansas City where the Big 12 tournament is, that's a more modern building. Like I think it's interesting how the Coliseum is such a factor. Obviously, the crowd showed up. The student section showed up. We didn't talk about this pre-show, and you I don't know if you heard this or not. Did they actually boo Rim Baker yesterday? Was that something that happened?
If it did, I didn't notice.
Okay.
Sometimes I have producer talking to me. And
right.
A lot of noise happening around me. So
I guess there was some trouble with tickets for some of the student section. And I heard somebody put out a couple of posts that he'd gotten booed, which shocked me. And I wasn't sure if you heard that there last night. But yeah, obviously that was a big performance for the Mountaineers. And coming in, I think, you said it best in the pre-show. We really didn't know who either of these teams were. They had both struggled at times and played very well against lesser competition. You look at what West Virginia against Campbell, that was a fight, a good Campbell team actually. And you look at Longwood, Pitt had struggled with them. But West Virginia looked just a lot better than Pitt at times yesterday. I think Pitt's a really young team, for one. They had a freshman guard that really showed up at big moments last night, Witherspoon. Minor, said it after the game. They got rattled. And I'm just curious about the Mountaineers in your opinion. Obviously, Obioha was a sensation last night. Who had him going 8 for 8? What is your sense about this with this West Virginia team, considering they don't have not just 2 rotational guys, 2 of their best guys aren't even playing yet?
Yeah. And that was a concern for me watching the Mountaineers the first 3 games was where's the rebounding going to come from? But I think getting those 2 guys back will definitely help.
For sure.
Obi Oha, Coach Hodge seems to feel pretty confident that his conditioning is going to get better as the year goes on. So hopefully you can get him in that 25, maybe pushing 28-minute range.
Can't believe he got 30 last night. That was insane.
Yeah. And
Adrenaline.
when you get into the grind of the Big 12, I'm not sure you can do that every night.
No way.
And of course there are going to be nights where he has foul trouble, but
yeah.
I did. You mentioned the youth for Pitt. I walked away. DJ Thomas, I know we had some fun with the bank shot 3, but
right.
I walked away impressed with the young guys for West Virginia too.
Yeah, Amir Jenkins as well.
I thought Amir Jenkins guarded his butt off.
Yeah,
the possession. I think it was the third or fourth possession of the game. He forced the Brandon Cummings air ball.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, that's a guy who scored 18 to 19 points his first couple of games, but Jenkins was unafraid. So I walked away impressed with those two young guys.
Amir is a kid that, he reclassified. Obviously, he should be in the senior prom this year, and he's a 26 kid, and top 50, top 60 player. And I think the talent obviously speaks for itself. As soon as he slows down offensively, it's going to look out for that one. I really like him. DJ Thomas was somebody that really, I think you even mentioned on the broadcast, a lot of mid-major teams wanted him. Ross Hodge said, no, we're not going to recruit somebody else over him. We want him. And that speaks to his eye for guys that he likes. Curious, obviously, I think teams have taken the approach of, we're just not going to let Huff and Eagle Staff beat us. And do you think that there will become a time this year where those two get settled in a little bit more? I mean, obviously it's just one game, and I watch everything that these guys do. I watch the team. Obviously I cover the team, but I'm just curious, somebody that's a little bit more down the middle on that. Do you think Eagle Staff's, what is your thoughts on him? I think a lot of people thought he would be way better than he's been. Do you think he's just in a new role? What did you hear being closer to it this week?
Yeah, I can't remember if we said it last night or if it was just, kind of off mic talk, but the fact that he's in a stance a lot more defensively than
he's guarding.
I don't think that can be discredited on why he's maybe come out and shot worse than we expected. The other thing, Paul, is he's taking only half the shots that he was taking at North Dakota.
That's a great point. I haven't even thought of that yet.
I think it was
usage rate's really high at North Dakota. It's like 28 or 29% or something crazy.
Right. You don't score 50 in a game without having high usage.
But right.
I think with, half the shots probably coming his way, guarding a little bit more, still getting a feel for the guys around him. I do think we will see one, if not several games where, he goes for 20 and lights it up.
I think so.
With 4 or 5 threes, something like that.
Yeah. In the secret scrimmage against Maryland, they said he had 6 threes in that game. And, I think that he's just, I talked to his high school coach here and there, and he agrees. Like, I don't know if he's putting too much pressure on himself, but I think he is, personally, if you're asking me. And I also think Ross Hodge had mentioned he's trying to figure out where his spots are in this new rhythm of things. North Dakota to Big 12 was a big jump. And obviously we haven't even played Big 12 yet, but I think Pitt's a good barometer. Other teams that are longer have been like that. That Campbell team surprised me with the length and athleticism, some of the guys they have. And Ross Hodge said after the game, they believe they're going to be a good team this year. So I'll be watching Campbell. But yeah, I'm really appreciate you for coming on to talk about this. And, we're excited about this team, for a team that, and here's another thing that speaks to Coach Hodge. And you said all the stats last night. He's still extended this streak to holding teams under 50. I don't think it can even be contested at this point that he's a defensive mastermind. And you don't do that at the mid-major level at North Texas or at West Virginia without being really good at creating defense for a team. So that travels, that you can win with that. Do you think this West Virginia team is a team that can get up into that top half of the Big 12?
I think that's realistic. I thought at first you're going to ask me, can they win the league?
I'm a homer, but I'm realistic.
I don't know if I'm ready to go there quite yet. And I thought Coach Hodge put it really well after the game in his press conference last night of, we didn't hang a banner last night. We didn't win a trophy last night.
Right.
Win or lose, we would have felt the same way. But obviously you feel better beating a rival and doing
absolutely.
But top half of the league, absolutely.
Which is tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You're in that tournament, 20, 21 wins somewhere. There's where I've always kind of felt this team would land, and I feel better about that prediction now.
Right. Yeah. And they're no doubt gonna pick off some of the top teams in the conference at home. I have very little doubt about that. But I do think it is pretty cool to see that a guy that hasn't been a head coach very long be very secure in who he is already, and not
he's
wavering.
Impressive.
Yeah, not wavering.
Genuinely, he's impressive.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
Ren Baker does not make bad hires. That's just the fact. He is everywhere he's ever gone. He's hired coaches that succeed, which I know you said you had about 15 minutes. Can we go to a quick 30-second break? And then I want to ask you one or two questions about the football team. Have you been covering or seen Rich Rod this year?
Yeah. I had.
Okay.
Had the Mountaineers.
All right. Okay. That's right. You did. I forgot about that. I think I had Tony on for that game, maybe on the radio, but we'll be right back after the break. We'll ask about the football team right now, guys. Be right back. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Right now with DoorDash, guys, we got to talk about who delivered, don't we? Who delivered this week's MVP with DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players deliver when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For West Virginia, Harlan Obioha delivered in a big way. Obviously, I think he went perfect from the field. You can count the block shot if you want to. I'm going to say he went 8 for 8. And when the pressure was on, he came through, no hesitation or no delay. And just like Harlan delivered for West Virginia, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. Every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, you can save up to $250, including 100 in credits. Order that Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day only with DoorDash, where the terms apply. Promo code through 11/18. All right, we're back with Connor Onion from Fox Sports play-by-play. You did call the Houston game. What an idiot I am. I'm sorry I didn't even think about that. So obviously going into that game, West Virginia had not produced much. Obviously they had gotten a little better against TCU and things like that. But I think if I had to, I think in thumbnails because what I do for a living. If I were going to label that thought a thumbnail, it would be turn corner, question mark. Have they turned it? Do you think they've turned a bit of a corner this late in the year?
Yeah, I think it's fair to label it as a corner turned.
Yeah,
I think they've found something kind of accidentally and unfortunately with Scotty Fox Jr.
What a snake bitten year!
Yeah, crazy. I mean, I can't even describe all the different ways that Rich Rod explained to us how unbelievable it was and how he had never had a year like this. But I do think, the financial investment into the roster is going to go up big time.
Yeah, exponentially.
Yeah, more than double, more than triple next year.
Right.
So, yeah, and to think that is the 4th or maybe 5th best quarterback that you have is pretty impressive that he was sitting waiting his turn. So I think totally fair to say corner turned there.
Yeah, Rich Rod's mentioned it in press conferences. Obviously you've got the cap, and then they did a cool thing where they didn't spend $5 or $6 million of the money they had for this year, and the way you can finagle that is fiscally the year. Even though money doesn't roll over from one year to the next, you can use it within the same fiscal year. So it's almost like it counts next year. So that's an extra $5 million on the next year's cap, if you will. And I don't know if it all goes to football or what have you. So those are things you have to work out. But then you add on to the fact that Rich Rod keeps throwing out 10, 12, 13 million number outside NIL contributions, whether that's Pat McAfee and company. Ken Kendrick, obviously, who owns the Diamondbacks, is a big donor. And so that puts you in Texas Tech this year in that range. They spent, Chris Level told me, I think they spent $28 million on the football roster. So if that's the case and West Virginia can get into that range, and Rich Rod's a guy, Connor, that's always done more with less for the most part. Yes, he was at Michigan, but they only let him stay for basically 2 years, 2.5 years, if you will, or they were trying to get him out. What do you think about a Rich Rod that has all the resources? Does that give you confidence for this team going forward?
It's funny you brought up the less with more thing. I'm covering Arizona's game tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we were in meetings with them today, and one of the things that came up is, Rich Rod has been the most successful coach in this program for a while now.
Right. Yeah. Very true.
Going back to some of the teams that he had in Tucson. So there's still that respect there. And
interesting.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, kind of to your question about basketball, can they finish top half of the league in the Big 12 this year? I think that's a similar conversation we'll have going into next year with West Virginia football. And that expectation can raise depending on how that money is spent and if it's spent in the right ways. But I really like D coordinator Zach Alley. Some of the stuff
we're really lucky to have him.
Yeah,
we're lucky to have him.
He's impressive. He's put on tape has been impressive. You're absolutely
right. He's an impressive guy to just hear talk. So I really appreciate you for coming on. I know you said you have 15 minutes. I've had you for 17. I don't want to keep you any longer than that. But do you have any podcasts or anything you can promote here? Is there something you do on the side or anything like that?
This time of year, no, just calling games. So
okay.
Just started doing some NBA games for the first time. So that's been an exciting thing.
I saw you said that. You also just recently did your first baseball games?
Last year. Started doing Major League Baseball for Fox.
So you're everywhere.
Yeah, it's
you're like the next big thing.
I don't know. I'm happy to be living the dream right now. That's for sure.
You're living a lot of people's dream in our world. And it sounds to me like you've got the humility to deserve it. So, well congratulations, man.
Thank you.
On your early success.
I did want to say, so you mentioned the video I posted last night of everybody singing after the game. Memory that came into or popped into my mind last night. The 2018 game against Tennessee in Charlotte.
Yep.
West Virginia rolled Tennessee.
They did.
I remember seeing on social media the entire stadium singing Country Roads and thinking to myself at that point, having just started my career, what a cool thing that must be to be a part of. And 7 years later, last night, I got to be front row as everybody was singing, and it was goosebumps down my arm.
Awesome, Connor.
And it's a moment I think I'm going to have with me for a while. So
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So when you're in your situation, are you guys taught not to talk about who you grew up favoring and that kind of thing? Or are you guys allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, we all grew up sports fans, right?
Right. I just wasn't sure if the network wants that to be a secret. I wasn't sure how they handled that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like you're favoring certain teams when you call games,
Right. So, no, we're supposed to remain neutral and talk
of course.
About games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike Patrick called several West Virginia games. He was calling the Pitt game, obviously, during 13-9. And I think he did a really good job. So, I mean, it's, it happens. It's out there. But, yeah. Well, whoever you root for, hopefully they're doing good. How about that? We'll just do it that way.
No, I appreciate that. The Ball State Cardinals, my alma mater, they're still alive in the MAC, so that's a win.
Who? Ball State. Okay.
That's where I went.
One of the best tight ends in the country there last year. Unfortunately, you lost him. Yeah. Big time player.
Scored against you guys, but you guys got the dub.
Yeah, that's true for sure. All right, guys, we're going to jump out of here. We're just doing a quick 20-minute one on this one. Thank you guys so much for being here. Connor, thank you for being here. We're going to let everybody go. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Connor, enjoy your game tomorrow. Hopefully you have a game that goes into double overtime or something, whatever you guys want for that. And certainly think that's going to be a fun game for you. And congratulations on your career.
All right. I appreciate that, Paul. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. See you later.
See ya.
All right, guys, we're going to go to one more break, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this football team. We'll be right back. All right, guys, this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving customers $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. You can't win if you don't play. Make sure you head to FanDuel.com to get started to play yours. That was really cool. I got to be honest, guys. That was one of the ones that I was looking forward to doing. He called not only the Houston game, but the Pitt game in the Backyard Brawl. What a cool guest to have on, right? And here's the thing, guys. He just said something on the show that was pretty interesting, right? West Virginia double, possibly triple in NIL for next year. That's very key because we're probably going to have to make a show out of that, to be honest. You got to think he was in meetings with Rich Rod all Houston week. We haven't heard any. I'm just saying there's something there to that. Maybe, we'll have to define what that maybe is, but that's super interesting. I'm curious to know how you guys feel about that. Did you guys hear him say that? Maybe double, maybe triple NIL. So that's interesting. I'm going to have to clip that one out of there. Clip that one out of there and use it again because that's a show I can get behind for sure. And what would that look like for West Virginia? Gosh, I can go on and on and on about what that would do for us if we did double or triple, because I know what we spent this year. We spent about 10, right? So if we get 20 or if we get 30, that's, which is right about where the cap plus 10 in NIL would put us, which is exactly what Rich Rod's been asking for. You're talking about not only flipping the roster, but totally changing everything about the program and have a chance to win the league next year in year two. I don't care what anybody says. If we get $30 million to spend on this roster, and that includes the cap, so that means you're spending $15 million in the cap and another 10 to 13 or whatever Rich Rod said in outside NIL, that's 25 to 28 in there. You're definitely going to be in the race with Rich Rod. There's no other way around that because he'll have an elite O-line and he'll have an elite D-line for sure. And then he's going to have skill. The skill talent we have right now and the running backs we have right now, if they all just stayed and our offensive line and defensive line got better with some, other pieces here and there, guys, like we've already got, like we could have Ty Edwards and Jaheim White back next year, and I'd be okay with it behind an elite offensive line. So there's a lot to get into with that. We're going to do another show here tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure. Obviously, the game's tomorrow, so we'll be here for that too. Let's just be excited. We're having some fun finally as fans of West Virginia. And we'll talk to you next time, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm going to get off here. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and we'll see you on the next one. Good night, guys.